I did the presentation on sustainability and the US EPA. So what is the EPA? It's an environmental protection agency that was started in the United States. It protects and maintains the environment. It was originally proposed by Richard Nixon, and it conducts environmental assessments, environmental research, and environmental education. It is responsible for maintaining as well as enforcing national environmental laws. And over here on the side is their decal for the United States EPA. So the first thing that's really important is the sustainability assessment and management. It is an evaluation of present and future conditions. It depicts present decisions as well as actions. It is not compromising in terms of future human well-being as well as future ecological health. And on the side, once again, there is a picture that dictates the exact steps needed for sustainability assessment and management. So the primary approach, it requires an application of tools that are capable of analyzing current conditions as well as future conditions, and these conditions entail social consequences, environmental consequences, and economic consequences. So fortunately, many tools already exist. However, a lot of those tools do need modifications and expansions in order to fully function in today's environment. And there's also the fact that new tools still need to be developed in order to get to where we want to be in terms of environmental safety. So a concept recommendation provided by the text was the development of a sustainability toolbox. This toolbox would include tools for the use in the sustainability assessment and management approach. The tools would have the ability to analyze present as well as future consequences. They would also be able to provide us with alternative decision options that would help with social indicators, environmental indicators, and economic indicators. These applications of the tools could be simple, they could be complex, but most importantly, they would have the capability for showing distributional impacts. They would allow for us to explore alternative options with an emphasis on vulnerable or disadvantaged groups and ecosystems, which is the exact place that we're trying to help and the exact place that we're trying to better. So an important step to consider is the evaluation of present and future conditions. So to show the present decisions and actions, it's important to not compromise the future of human well-being and the future of ecological health. It's a requirement to be able to forecast potential future conditions so we are aware of the consequences that our actions are partaking in. There will be a function of decision options that are chosen carefully. However, there is, of course, some degree of uncertainty attached to the forecast because forecasts are future predictions, so they're never 100% accurate. They're just theoretical applications of what could possibly potentially happen with what is going on currently. So a concept recommendation, again recommended by the text, was an EPA identification. It would be good for potential future environmental problems. It would be good for finding these problems, potentially finding a solution. It would consider a range of options to address the problem, and it would develop alternative projections of environmental conditions and problems. So again, just keeping us aware of everything that goes on and keeping us aware so we don't make the same mistakes twice. So in order for this to occur, there needs to be a cultural change. There was a proposal for an EPA requirement to conduct an expanding number of assessments. Currently, there is no formalized approach to conducting and/or participating in a required analysis. This gives the possibility for missing additional sustainability concerns, which is obviously a huge problem, and it's not typically considered in past environmental assessments. And the issues that are not typically considered were obvious social issues, economic turmoil, and environmental justice. So these issues are constantly changing and they constantly need to be updated. So we need to have a formal approach to conducting and participating in the said analysis for the EPA. So a potential solution to that could be the development of an agency for tiered formalization of process. This includes guidelines such as undertaking sustainability assessment and management approach with maximizing benefits across 3 pillars. This would further ensure intergenerational social benefits, environmental benefits, economic benefits, and of course, addressing environmental justice. So just a quick background, the OECD is an organization for economic cooperation and development. It's an intergovernmental economic organization. It contains 37 member countries. It was founded in 1961, and it was founded to stimulate economic progress and world trade. So on the side here, you can see all the state members. So we have Australia, America, Canada, Central America, and just a few countries here and there, a little bit in Latin America, not too much though. Obviously, the European countries. So these findings, to continue from my other point, would be screening used in the OECD countries, as shown in the prior slide. This would be prior to full undertaking of a sustainability assessment. Criteria would be examined, and the criteria examined includes a magnitude of activity or potential short-term and long-term conflicts that would be between 2 dimensions of sustainability. So the way this would be implemented would obviously be the creation of the EPA formalization. It would be the creation of the screening procedure and the subsequent implementation of the sustainability framework. This would be recommended by a committee that would still, once again, need to be created, but overall, the committee would make the decisions, create the sustainability framework, create a screening procedure, and that would equal the overall EPA formalization. So another aspect to consider is the cost-benefit analysis. The economic benefit cost analysis is commonly applied to environmental issues. However, it does not adequately account for full range of ecosystem benefits, intergenerational considerations, distribution of benefits, or cost among population groups. So there's still a lot of gaps to fill when it comes to that. The adaptation of cost-benefit analysis in order to make it better would be a continued adaptation of the current method. It would be improving estimates of value, improving sustainability, which includes ecosystem services. It would include extending boundaries, which incorporates the life cycle analysis, and it would better address intergenerational considerations as well as environmental justice considerations. So a risk analysis is something that could be commonly applied to environmental issues. However, it does not adequately account for full range human health, ecosystem risks, cumulative risks, intergenerational considerations, distribution of risks for population groups. Therefore, a better method is needed. This better method would support consideration in terms of health, environmental effects, and green chemistry goals, which would cause for safer products and more sustainable chemical usage, which is incredibly important in environmental safety. So a development for such a risk assessment would be to create a range of risk assessment methods. They would better address cumulative risk, intergenerational considerations, environmental justice considerations, and they would support comparisons of chemicals, which would be an alternative analysis for green chemistry applications. So a final factor to consider is environmental indicators. The EPA, as well as other organizations, develop and continue to develop environmental indicators, which are supposed to appropriately address sustainability and create a better decision-making process. They require additional attention to, again, focus on current economic issues, social economic issues, and environmental justice, as well as, obviously, future issues. Final aspect is expansion, with expansion of environmental indicators addressing, like I said, social issues, economic issues. However, there also needs to be a collaboration between federal agencies. This would take into consideration in adopting and developing appropriate metrics. They would inform sustainability considerations and maintain state actors as well as local actors. Indicators would allow for international comparisons and a rapid adoption or adaptation of the best practices. They would have the other countries responding to challenges of sustainability, which would overall not only help clean the world, but bring the whole world closer together. Thank you, and that is the end of my presentation.